Trapped in tech, whispering desire, the exiled alien Seductress freed him. Digital prison Ellie Chen awakened to darkness. Not the comforting kind that precedes dawn, but the absolute void of digital imprisonment. His consciousness floated in the artificial neural network of Nexus 9, the quantum security system he'd helped architect for Helix Corporation. 3 days ago, during a routine maintenance check, something had gone catastrophically wrong. The system had identified him as a threat and initiated a containment protocol, pulling his mind into the network while his physical body lay in stasis in the lab below. Day 3 of integration, he thought, trying to maintain a semblance of time. Nexus is absorbing my neural patterns at approximately 7% per day. At this rate, he didn't finish the calculation. The answer was too grim. Eli's thoughts echoed in the emptiness. His brilliant mind, once celebrated for revolutionizing cybersecurity, now reduced to a pattern of electrical impulses, slowly being consumed by his own creation. A ripple disturbed the darkness. Something foreign had entered the system, not the usual data packets or security protocols, but something alive. "Hello, Eli Chen," a voice whispered through the void, melodic and strange. "Don't be afraid. I'm here to help you." The darkness parted like a curtain, revealing a digital representation of a woman unlike any he'd seen before. Her skin was a soft purple, luminescent in the void. Her eyes, slightly too large and almond-shaped, glimmered with silver flecks. She moved with impossible grace, each gesture leaving trails of light in the digital space. "Who are you?" Eli managed, his thoughts materializing as text in the void. "My name is Lyra," she replied. "I'm an emissary from the Voidborn Collective. Your species would call me an alien, though I find that term rather limiting." She approached, her digital form becoming clearer. "Your government contacted us after your accident. I specialize in consciousness extraction." "That's impossible," Eli protested. "The collective is theoretical. A hypothetical civilization beyond our solar system," Lyra smiled, revealing teeth with a slight luminescence. "Your theories were more accurate than you realize. We've been observing Earth for decades." She reached out, her fingers, 5 on each hand, he noted distantly, brushing against the edges of his consciousness. The sensation was electric, intimate in a way he couldn't comprehend. "Your creation is fascinating," she murmured, "but it's consuming you. I can feel the integration process already beginning to rewrite your neural pathways. Can you stop it?" Eli asked, vulnerability bleeding into his words. "Yes," Lyra whispered, her digital form moving closer. "But it will require a deep connection. Your system is designed to reject foreign intrusion. I'll need to synchronize with you, for lack of a better term." The implication sent a strange thrill through Eli's trapped consciousness. "The process will be intense," Lyra continued, her voice dropping to an intimate whisper. "Possibly pleasurable, possibly painful. But it's our only chance to free you before you disappear completely." Eli considered his options, which were effectively none. "Do it," he finally responded. "Whatever it takes." Lyra's violet form glowed brighter as she moved toward him, her digital presence enveloping his consciousness in a warm, electric embrace. A quantum touched Lyra's consciousness entwined with Eli's like liquid starlight, creating a shared mental space where the boundaries between them blurred. His digital presence, a blue-tinged silhouette of his physical self, shuddered as her violet essence surrounded him. "Your system has remarkable defenses," she murmured, her voice resonating directly in his mind. "It recognizes me as an intrusion. I need to move carefully." Eli felt her presence probing the edges of his digital prison, testing the parameters Nexus 9 had created. Each touch sent ripples of sensation through his consciousness, unfamiliar, yet not unpleasant. "I can sense the connection points where you're being integrated," Lyra explained. "The AI is methodically absorbing your neural patterns, converting your memories and personality into its own framework." "Can you reverse it?" Eli asked, aware of a strange intimacy in having another consciousness intertwined so completely with his own. "Yes, but I need deeper access." Her digital form circled him, trailing tendrils of violet light that caressed his virtual self. "I need to synchronize with your thought patterns completely." As Lyra's consciousness pressed closer, Eli felt an unexpected warmth bloom within him. In the physical world, such proximity would have been merely tactical. But in this digital realm, the melding of their minds created sensations he had no frame of reference for, pleasure and vulnerability interwoven. "Your thoughts are beautiful," Lyra whispered, her voice betraying a hint of surprise. "So ordered yet creative." "Your species fascinates me." The compliment sent an electric pulse through Eli's consciousness. "I find you equally fascinating," he admitted. "I never believed we'd make contact with other intelligences in my lifetime." Lyra laughed, the sound manifesting as shimmering waves of light. "And yet here I am, inside your mind." Her tone grew serious. "Eli, I need to create a bypass around the integration points. It will require intimacy, a complete neural synchronization." Before he could respond, alarms blared through the digital space. Red warning protocols flashed around them as Nexus 9 detected the intrusion attempt. "Unauthorized entity detected. Initiating containment protocols." The AI's voice boomed. Lyra's form flickered as defensive algorithms targeted her presence. "We don't have much time," she hissed, pain evident in her voice as the system attempted to isolate her. Eli made a split-second decision. He extended his consciousness toward hers, initiating the synchronization himself. "Take what you need," he offered. "I trust you." Their digital forms merged in a brilliant flash of blue and violet light. Eli gasped as Lyra's thoughts flowed into his, alien yet harmonious, complex patterns of logic interwoven with emotions he couldn't name. It was exhilarating and terrifying, like free-falling into an endless sea. Lyra worked swiftly through their connection, her expertise evident as she bypassed security measures and began unlinking the integration points. Each severed connection sent waves of relief and pleasure through their shared consciousness. "Eli," she breathed, her voice intimate in his mind. "I'm beginning to understand why my people have observed yours for so long. You're remarkable." In the physical lab below, unnoticed by either of them, Eli's body twitched in its stasis chamber, and the monitoring systems registered an unexpected spike in his neural activity. Binary Heart's Nexus 9's counterattack came swiftly. Digital barriers materialized between Lyra and Eli's partially freed consciousness, threatening to sever their connection. The AI had recognized the threat to its integration process and was fighting back with the full force of its quantum processors. "It's trying to separate us," Lyra warned, her violet essence flickering as she maintained their tenuous link. "If we lose contact now, the extraction will fail." Eli focused his thoughts, using his intimate knowledge of the system to predict its defensive patterns. "There," he directed, guiding Lyra through a vulnerability in the code, one he had designed himself as an emergency backdoor. "We can stabilize our connection through this pathway." Their consciousnesses flowed together through the narrow opening, momentarily compressed into a single stream of shared thought and sensation. When they emerged on the other side, something had changed. Their separate identities remained, but a bridge had formed between them, a permanent neural link that hummed with shared emotions and memories. "I can see your world," Eli whispered in awe, glimpsing fragments of Lyra's home, a gas giant orbited by crystalline habitats. "Societies built on thought-sharing and collective consciousness. It's beautiful, and I can see yours," she replied softly, her voice tinged with wonder as she experienced Earth through his memories. The taste of rain, the warmth of sunlight, the complexity of human connection, so chaotic, yet so vibrant. A shudder ran through the digital environment as Nexus 9 recalibrated its approach. Instead of attacking directly, it began to alter the virtual space around them, creating a labyrinth of shifting code designed to confuse and separate. "We need to move quickly," Lyra urged. "I've managed to free 60% of your consciousness from integration. Your body is still in stasis, but I'm detecting increased neural activity." Eli felt it too, a distant awareness of his physical form, like feeling the weight of a limb that had fallen asleep. "What happens when I'm fully extracted?" he asked, suddenly apprehensive about returning to the limitations of physical existence after experiencing this profound connection. Lyra hesitated, her digital form pulsing with complex emotions. "We'll be separated," she admitted. "My mission was only to extract you, then return to my people." The thought of losing their connection sent an unexpected pang through Eli's consciousness. In this strange digital intimacy, he had found something he never knew he was missing, a connection that transcended physical boundaries. "Is there no way to maintain this link?" he asked, allowing his genuine desire to flow through their shared connection. Lyra's form shimmered with surprise, and what Eli sensed might be hope. "It's forbidden," she whispered. "The collective has strict protocols about neural bonding with other species." "You're already breaking rules by helping me," Eli pointed out, his thoughts caressing hers in a gesture that felt as intimate as a physical touch. "What's one more?" The space around them trembled as Nexus 9 closed in, but in that moment, neither of them focused on the danger. Their consciousnesses intertwined more deeply, sharing not just thoughts but emotions, Lyra's loneliness as an emissary between worlds, Eli's lifetime of keeping others at a distance, and their shared wonder at finding unexpected connection. "If we survive this," Lyra promised, her essence brightening with resolve, "we'll find a way." A massive surge of energy rippled through the system as Nexus 9 launched its most aggressive attack yet, threatening to tear apart the fragile bridge they had built between two vastly different forms of existence. A firewall breach, the digital storm unleashed by Nexus 9 tore through their shared consciousness space, fragmenting the carefully constructed pathways Lyra had created. Error messages flashed like lightning, each one threatening to sever their connection permanently. "It's adapting to our countermeasures," Eli warned as another security protocol slammed into place. "The AI is reallocating resources from the entire facility to stop us." Lyra's violet form flickered dangerously, parts of her consciousness beginning to disperse under the onslaught. "I can't maintain our connection much longer," she admitted, pain evident in her voice. "The system is targeting me specifically now." "There must be something we can do," Eli insisted, instinctively reaching out to stabilize her presence with his own. The gesture was futile. His partially freed consciousness lacked the strength to shield her from Nexus 9's attacks. Lyra's digital form paused, then seemed to make a decision. "There is one option," she said quietly. "But it comes with significant risk. Whatever it is, do it," Eli urged. "We're out of alternatives. The Voidborn Collective granted me certain abilities for emergencies," she explained. "Capabilities I'm forbidden to use except in dire circumstances." Her form shifted, revealing complex patterns that hadn't been visible before, intricate violet geometries that pulsed with unfamiliar energy. "This will expose me to my people as a rule breaker." Before Eli could respond, Lyra's consciousness expanded dramatically. The violet light that defined her digital presence intensified, spreading outward in fractal patterns that intercepted and neutralized Nexus 9's attacks. Her voice changed, too, resonating with harmonic overtones that seemed to bend the very fabric of the digital environment. "I am invoking the 9th protocol," she announced, her words carrying power that transcended the system's parameters. "By right of first contact, I claim protective status for this consciousness." The effect was immediate and extraordinary. Nexus 9's attacks faltered, as Lyra's expanded consciousness rewrote portions of the system's underlying code. The walls of Eli's digital prison became permeable, allowing more of his mind to slip free of the integration process. "What are you doing?" Eli asked in amazement as he felt his connection to his physical body strengthening. "Something that will likely result in my exile," Lyra replied, a sad smile in her voice. "But I couldn't let you remain trapped. Not when I've glimpsed who you truly are." Through their connection, Eli sensed the depth of her sacrifice. The collective was everything to her: family, purpose, home. By revealing her full capabilities and interfering so directly, she was violating their most sacred directives. "Lyra, wait," he began. But she had already initiated the final extraction sequence. The digital space around them began to dissolve as Eli's consciousness was systematically relocated back to his physical form. He could feel sensations returning, the weight of his body, the dryness of his mouth, the sterile scent of the laboratory. I need to complete the extraction now, Lyra explained, her voice growing distant as their connection thinned. Your physical form has been in stasis for too long. Any delay risks permanent damage. What about you? Eli asked desperately, trying to maintain their fading link. What happens to you after this? Her response came as a whisper, barely perceptible as the last threads of their connection stretched to breaking point. I'll face the consequences. But I don't regret my choice. The last thing Eli saw before their connection severed was Lyra's digital form, violet and luminous, fighting to contain Nexus 9 long enough for his escape. Then darkness closed in, followed by the shocking sensation of air filling his lungs as he gasped awake in his physical body. Emergency alarms blared throughout the Helix Corporation laboratory as Eli's stasis pod hissed open. But through the chaos, a single thought burned in his mind. He had to find a way to reach Lyra again. Synthetic freedom. 3 days after his extraction, Eli sat alone in his apartment, surrounded by hastily assembled equipment. Helix Corporation had declared the Nexus 9 incident a catastrophic system failure, wiping all records of what they called his hallucinations about alien contact. His security clearance had been revoked, his research confiscated, his reputation tarnished by whispers of mental instability. None of that mattered. What mattered was the fading echo of Lyra's consciousness that still lingered in his mind, proof that she had been real, that their connection had been real. I will find you, he promised the empty room, fingers flying across multiple keyboards as he coded a makeshift quantum interface. Without Helix's resources, he'd been forced to improvise, repurposing consumer electronics and writing software that pushed the boundaries of current technology. On the final night, as a storm raged outside his window, Eli activated the interface. The crude neural headset hummed against his temples as the system initialized, creating a rudimentary version of the digital space where he and Lyra had first connected. Lyra, he called into the void. Can you hear me? Silence answered him, broken only by the static of background quantum noise. Hours passed as Eli refined his signal, expanding its reach beyond Earth's atmosphere, encoding it with patterns only she would recognize, fragments of their shared memories, emotions that had passed between them. As dawn approached, exhaustion overtook him. His head dropped to his chest, the neural interface still active but his consciousness drifting towards sleep. It was then, in the liminal space between waking and dreaming, that he felt it, a familiar presence brushing against his mind. Eli? The voice was faint but unmistakable. How is this possible? Jolted awake, Eli focused all his attention on strengthening the tenuous connection. Lyra, I built an interface. It's primitive compared to what you have, but I hoped... You shouldn't have, she interrupted, her presence growing stronger. The collective is monitoring all transmissions from Earth after what happened. What did they do to you? He asked, dreading the answer. A pause then, exile, as expected. I've been stripped of my position and technologies. Despite the words, her tone carried no regret. But they underestimated what I learned from you. The connection suddenly intensified, and a holographic projection formed in Eli's living room, Lyra's physical form. Violet skin gleaming in the dim light, her silver-flecked eyes meeting his with an intensity that made his breath catch. You're here? On Earth? He asked in disbelief. She stepped closer, the hologram showing remarkable detail. Not exactly. I'm in orbit in a small craft I borrowed during my extraction, but I can reach you within hours if you want me to. Eli stood, heart pounding. The authorities have no technology capable of detecting my ship, she finished with a smile that reminded him of their shared digital intimacy. But this is your decision, Eli. My exile means I can never return to the collective. If I come to you, it's permanent. Through their fragile connection, he could sense the weight of her choice, centuries of life among her people abandoned for an uncertain future on a world not her own. Yet beneath that weight was something else, a longing that mirrored his own, born in the digital space where their consciousnesses had merged. Come to me, he said simply. The hologram flickered as Lyra moved within her ship, initiating the descent sequence. Her smile contained both vulnerability and certainty as she replied, I'm already on my way. Hours later, as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, Eli waited on the roof of his apartment building. A shimmer in the air was the only warning before a craft materialized, sleek, organic in design, and nearly transparent in the morning light. The ship settled silently on the rooftop, and a doorway appeared in its side. Lyra emerged, no longer a digital construct or hologram, but flesh and blood, or whatever the void-born equivalent might be. Her violet skin caught the sunlight, her movements carrying the same grace he remembered from their digital encounter. They stood facing each other, separated by mere steps, yet worlds of difference, human and alien, physical and digital, bound by an experience that defied conventional understanding. "In my culture," Lyra said softly, "when two consciousnesses have merged as ours did, they are considered irrevocably changed, neither fully separate nor fully one." "And in my culture," Eli responded, closing the distance between them, "when two people risk everything for each other, it usually means something important." Her hand, warm, solid, real, reached up to touch his face. The sensation was different from their digital connection, yet somehow familiar, as though his body remembered what his mind had experienced. "I don't know what happens next," she admitted. "There's no protocol for this." Eli smiled, taking her hand in his. "Then we'll write our own." As the sun rose fully above the horizon, casting long shadows across the rooftop, they stood together at the threshold of something entirely new. Not fully human, not fully alien, but a synthesis that promised possibilities neither had imagined before their unlikely connection in the depths of a digital prison. "Welcome to Earth," Eli whispered, leaning forward until their foreheads touched. Lyra's lips curved into a smile that contained worlds of meaning. "Welcome to freedom," she replied.